Welcome to Legends of Savannah. Today we're bringing you a classic African tale that's as funny as it is wise. This is the story of the tortoise and the birds, a tale that teaches us about the consequences of greed and the value of humility. In African folklore, the tortoise is often a cunning character. In this story, he uses his wit to get what he wants, but learns the hard way that greed can lead to unexpected downfalls. So sit back and enjoy this timeless story from the heart of Africa. One day, the tortoise heard exciting news: the birds were invited to a grand feast in the sky. He was filled with excitement, but then he realized that only birds could attend because they were the only ones who could fly. Determined not to miss out, the tortoise came up with a clever plan. He approached the birds and, with a polite voice, asked them, "My friends, could each of you lend me a feather so that I may join you at this feast?" The birds, feeling generous and kind, agreed to help the tortoise. One by one, they each gave him a feather, and soon he had enough to make wings for himself. Now, he looked just like a bird and was ready to fly up to the feast. As they flew to the sky, the tortoise came up with another plan. He turned to the birds and said, "From now on, I shall be called all of you." The birds were puzzled but didn't question it. When they arrived at the feast, the hosts welcomed them warmly and announced, "This food is for all of you." Of course, the clever tortoise took this literally, claiming that since he was now named all of you, the entire feast belonged to him alone. Without hesitation, the tortoise began to eat all the food, filling himself up while the birds watched in disbelief. His greed knew no bounds, and he showed no intention of sharing. Angry and disappointed, the birds decided to teach the tortoise a lesson. They each took back the feather they had given him, one by one. Slowly, the tortoise's feathery wings disappeared, and he was left with nothing but his hard shell. Realizing what was happening, he looked down and saw how far he was from the ground. Fear gripped him as he realized he had no way to get down. The tortoise called out, pleading, "Please, friends, don't leave me up here," but the birds flew away, leaving him alone and helpless in the sky. Now, he was faced with a tough decision. With no other choice, the tortoise knew he had to jump. He braced himself, closed his eyes, and let himself fall. Down he went, tumbling through the air, until finally crash. He landed hard on the ground, cracking his shell into several pieces. It was a painful lesson, but one he would never forget. From that day on, the tortoise had to live with a cracked shell as a reminder of the dangers of greed and dishonesty. He learned that cunning could only take him so far, and that true respect comes from humility, not trickery. And that's the story of the tortoise and the birds. This tale from African folklore reminds us that greed and selfishness only lead to regret. The tortoise may have gotten what he wanted at first, but in the end, he lost more than he gained. Thank you for joining us on Legends of Savannah. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss more African tales filled with wisdom and adventure. Remember, there's always a lesson to learn from these timeless stories. Until next time, may we all be wise and humble.